Tonight, 2 drivers safely head into the round of 8 next week, but there are still 10 others that are going to be vying for a spot into that round of 8. Welcome to the Racing Line Network and welcome to the virtual Milwaukee Mile. Season 7 of the Full Send Racing Series rolls into this historic complex for the Brent Racing 135. This was first a dirt track all the way back in 1903. And 121 years later, not only does it add another virtual race to its history tonight, but it still continues to add real races to its history in the process. Last week, Cameron Sarton was victorious under the lights at the virtual homestead in Miami Speedway. He secured his spot into the round of 8 in the process, which said round of 8 will be heading for a mini West Coast swing in the form of Phoenix and Auto Club over the next 2 weeks, and a little bit of the Championship 4 in the form of the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. But of course, we have to get through the round of 8 in the process. Sarton isn't the only driver to secure his spot into the round of 8, of course. With Brian McCann's performance last week, he has mathematically secured himself into the round of 8. No one else is safe going into next week, though, and performance this week will be paramount. Tony Brent enters this week 13 points above the cut line. With how close the margins are, even Heberly Telemack could sneak his way in tonight because he is 8 points below the cut line. Only a total of 20 points separates third in the championship from 12th. And Tony Brent is getting last place points this week. He is missing this week, but because he has shown up for pretty much every single race this season, he effectively gets a little bit of a bye in the process, at least for this week. So when we get to that, we will show you the championship points that Tony Brent will be getting. Right now, coming into this event, he has 1,044 points. An eye is going to be kept very closely on drivers like William Duff and Ryan Lynch, both of them on the Throttle Racing teammates. Both of them are fighting for the final spot in 8th place coming into tonight. Let's go ahead and head over to your live pictures of the virtual Milwaukee Mile here. Drone hovering around the back straightaway at the moment as we are getting ever so closer to seeing your starting grid for tonight. It's going to will be a total of 14 cars, which means Tony Brent will be getting 15th place points. What that amounts to, I'll have to figure that out in about 2 seconds. So we'll see how things fare here in the meantime once we start on the pace laps. So qualifying has come to an end. I'll go ahead and throw it down to the rear-facing camera here of the pace car to see where everybody will be starting. On the front row tonight is going to be not only Hunter Karsten as he starts in second, but notably it's going to be Brian McCann. There he is, starting off in the first place position tonight. Hunter Karsten to the outside of Brian McCann. Just under a tenth of a second separates those two from the from their respective qualifying times. Next row holds the one of Cameron Sarton. He starts off in the third place position, and then Michael Thorpe Jr. will start off in P4. Row number 3 holds Travis Start, starting to the inside of the number 6 of Jonathan Burt. Both of those drivers going to be starting alongside each other here as we get into our 140 lap event. Heberly Telemack will start off in the 7th place position, and to his outside it will be the 101 of Philip Chavez. As chrome as ever is that literal number 101. David McConnell qualifies in 9th place. He will start off to the inside of William Duff and inside the top 10, as William Duff in the 17 rounds out the top 10 here at the Milwaukee Mile. Next row holds Doug Pierce in the number 39. He starts off in 11th with Larry Griffin throwing it back to, oh gosh, the name is escaping me all of a sudden, and it's embarrassing. Days of Thunder, I think. I forget the car. It might be Cole Trickle. I could be wrong. I've never seen the movie, but I know the references, and that's about it. Griffin starts off in 12th place. Daniel McConnell starts off 13th, and 14th place is Ryan Lynch. And that is your starting grid. Now, of course, I did mention Tony Brent gets 15th place points. So, because of 14 cars showing up, Tony Brent will get the point equivalent of 15th place. So we'll see where that sorts from here once we get things underway. In fact, it looks like things might already be sorted out in our favor, so we can show this in due time, but you have to wait for the race to get underway, of course. Milwaukee Mile is, well, just a bit over a mile, but it will not stop from these drivers capitalizing on the tight confines of this racetrack. Pace car pulls off, green flag shown in the hand, wave to the field. We're racing at the Milwaukee Mile. So Brian McCann leads the first lap here at the Milwaukee Mile. You see Brian McCann and Cameron Sarton are labeled in green. That means they are safe into the round of 8. Anyone else in yellow is not safe. Anyone in white is not eligible to be fighting for the championship. Fantastic start by Brian McCann to start off this race, but Hunter Carson and Michael Thorpe Jr. have sat with him for the time being. Top 3 cars all separated by just about 0.6 of a second. The stage ends at lap 85. This race was, I think, originally supposed to be 135 laps. I think because of how the track is, where it's 1.0. Actually, you know what? I do have the information here. Let's see. This track, out of a whole technicality, is approximately, well, it says 1 mile. I could have sworn it was like 1.015 miles or something similar of the sort. Regardless, we are still racing here at the Milwaukee Mile, taking a look around this hovering battle for the second place position between Hunter Karsten in the 13 and the 34 of Michael Thorpe Jr. And the caution comes out. It's the 88 of Heberly Telemac off turn number 4. Well, it's been a while since we have seen a caution, and we'll get to that here in a second. But the yellow flag is out here at the Milwaukee Mile. First caution in a few races here. And it's the 88 around off turn 4. Let's go ahead and rewind and see what happened to the 88 of Telemac. Was it a little bit of grip, a loss of grip? And simply yes. Does nose into the inside wall, but shouldn't be too bad, especially by the looks of the external angles. We'll take one more look from in-car. And just got on the power and then went around, did that number 88. So, first caution ever since Let me look here. Ever since Bristol on lap 38, that was the last time we've seen a caution. A few drivers, faking it out. Sartin stays out. Larry Griffin goes into pit road. So does the 88, of course, of Telemac. I don't have a graphic for this, but we do have the stats available. Last time we saw a caution, of course, was at Bristol on lap 38. How many races ago that was, you may be wondering? Well, that was about 5 weeks ago, actually, all the way back on September 24th of 2024. That was the last time we had seen a yellow on an oval in this league. Out of more curiosity, in case anyone is interested, the most amount of cautions we had was Daytona, 4 cautions for a total of 12 laps. The least amount of cautions was Iowa, 1 caution for 4 laps. So that caution-free streak that we had ever since Bristol is pretty much broken. Not including Sonoma, but kind of including Sonoma in the process. This league is about, I think, 50-50-ish odds in terms of not having an amount of caution. 7 caution-free oval races was the stat that I was looking for. This race is not going to be one of them. 7 caution-free oval races, and we are 16 races in. So taking out the road courses, the 2 road courses that we had, that is, I think, effectively a 50-50 split of how often we had a caution. 7 cautions on ovals, and then on other ovals, no yellows. I don't know. I'm not sure this one falls. I think this one does fall with the 7th to make it an even 50-50. Regardless, a very quick caution for a quick spin off turn 4. Field in control of Brian McCann once again. He has chosen the inside lane.
Green, green, green.
Green flag is waved once again here at Milwaukee Mile. Jerry snuck his way up into the top 5. It was the one of Cameron Sartin. He was hovering around here, I think, actually, just at the start of the race. Quite consistent, dangerous in a sense, in terms of how consistent he can be. Speaking of consistency, we'll get back to that in a moment. The 34 may not have seen it. Let's take a look off turn number 4 here. Watch the 34. A very quick slide from that 34, almost did the exact same thing that Heberly Telemac did. And now, as a result of that, here comes Cameron Sartin to the inside. He'll make his way to 3rd place. The 34, Thorpe, burning the rear tires off that car once again. Let's go ahead and take a look at the championship standings. This does take into account Tony Brent missing this event. Coming into this race, he had 1,044 points. The last place points puts him at 1,066. He is safe by 6 points as of right now. We'll have to wait and see how it will be close. We'll have to wait and see how things fare at the completion of the stage. But right now, he is at a, relatively speaking, a comfortable margin. Of course, Brian McCann, now that he runs in the lead, he could technically lock himself into the round of 8, but not much would change if either of these 2 drivers won in terms of McCann and Sartin. Hunter Carson, currently sitting in 2nd, is a very comfortable ways away, 13 points away from William Duff in 9th. This is going to be a race where stage points matter. Stage ends lap 80, 8-0. The top 10 drivers, or actually, correction, 85. I was looking back to the total laps of being 140 rather than 135, but regardless, lap 85 is when the stage ends. Top 10 get points. All the way from 10 points to first place down to 1 point for 10th place. No caution at the end of the stage. So it is a matter of waiting, and if I was Tony Brent, I would be a little bit nervous. What Tony Brent needs is William Duff, Ryan Lynch, and Heberly Telemack to basically not be in stage contention. But let's go ahead and check back in on these drivers back here. Heberly Telemack looking at David McConnell. And look at the dive by the 80 of Telemack to get down to the inside, trying to get any and all stage points possible. This puts Telemack into a championship scoring contention. I said it before and I'll say it again. Granted, it's quote-unquote only 1 point, but it will matter. Even so, I think the best bet is to pull a bit of fuel or pit strategy as well to really secure that spot. So we might see some undercuts and overcuts from drivers like Ryan Lynch and Heberly Telemack. Wait and see how things play out here later on in this race. A missing name, shockingly, is Zachary Lovelace. Not here this week and effectively eliminated from the championship as a result of that, which is such a shame. Great on the road courses. He did perform consistently well, roughly around the top 5 for, I believe, a couple ovals. Actually, more than a couple. Let's go ahead and move up a little bit further on to around Philip Chavez and William Duff, running for 8th and 9th place at the moment. Everyone's spread out for the moment as we just take in the sounds of the Milwaukee Mile. For second place, it's starting to get a little bit closer. There was a pass for third place that we had seen a while ago between Cameron Sarton and Michael Thorpe Jr. In fact, around in the back portion of the field, Doug Pierce, Larry Griffin side by side for 12th. And while they may not be racing for a championship contention, they are still racing for points regardless. Larry Griffin goes down to the inside. Doug Pierce sticks it up in the middle portion of the racetrack. Right now these two are separated by 3 points for the what is currently the 13th place position in the championship standings. Once we eliminate the next 4 drivers, that could change. And if I remember correctly, I'll have to double check the ruling as Aaron Griffin makes his way by Doug Pierce. I'll double check the rules, but I believe all the championship points for eliminated drivers get wiped, and then it's just back to the standard amount of points that the drivers would have. In fact, I'll go ahead and double check that now. As drivers are spread out, Hunter Carson scraping the outside wall every once in a while here on the straightaways, using quite literally all of the racetrack. Cameron Sargent doing the same off turn 2. Let's go ahead and ride on board the number 1 machine as he chases down Hunter Karsten. Oh, hang on a minute. Spin in the back and reverse onto the racetrack is Haberly Telemac. Luckily, no caution just yet, but a spin off turn number 2 for the 88 machine. That is the second spin this race for the 88. Now both apply, and it's just really unfortunate. The same thing that happened off turn number 4, just barely nosing into the inside wall. He was that close to hitting the tire stack there, which I think would have been a bit more forgiving versus hitting the inside wall. And it's just no doubt disappointing for Haberly Telemac, out by a significantly larger margin than he would like, but there is still the rest of the race to go. I mean, Michael Thorpe Jr. here sitting in 4th place. He's only 1 point above the cut line versus William Duff, who's 8th place. Granted, that will change once we get to lap 85 for the completion of the stage, but even still, that is very nerve-wracking. I don't blame Telemac for potentially being quite nervous at looking at the current position that he is in, literally and figuratively. It's a bit of an update in terms of the championship standings. Correction, in terms of the ruling for the championship standings. Any drivers eliminated during the round of 12 or round of 8 will keep all the points that they've earned during said round and then race against those who were also eliminated for 5th through 12th. I'm not sure if that also means that their points will basically be entirely reset. Oh, wait, no, now I see it. So it looks like it will be for 13th place, a race for 13th place in the standings. And then once the 5th through 12th place drivers are eliminated, all of them will race for the, well, 5th through 12th place in the last 2 races. So technically 3 separate championships by the championship 4. So once we get into the round of 4, it will be 1st through 4th in the championship fighting for the championship, 5th through 12th fighting for their own spot, and then 13th through everybody else fighting for their points in the process. A lot of numbers to deal with, but we'll get there by the end regardless. We are 31 laps into this event so far. A lot of traffic in the form of Haberly Telemac being passed by Brian McCann a few laps ago, now being passed by the 13 of Hunter Karsten as he goes to the inside. Telemac gives him the inside lane. Meanwhile, for 12th place, it is Ryan Lynch going against Doug Pierce. In fact, I should be able to see in real time what their points are. If there are any issues in the process, apologies in advance. looks like everything is relatively stable. In fact, I was drastically incorrect in terms of the points that they're racing for between Pierce and Griffin. Either that or there's a huge miscalculation somewhere. Because as things stand right now, if we go full, if we go full, yeah, 296, 293 for Doug Pierce and Larry Griffin. William Duff and David McConnell. Almost said Daniel McConnell, I caught myself right at that second. William Duff, David McConnell, side by side for 7th for a brief moment. Ends up with William Duff going up to 7th place. I say that 293, 296, but Doug Pierce, for some reason, is being shown at 326 points, while Larry Griffin is still at 293 points. So these might be calculating a bit incorrectly if it's not 350 and 219, which is even more odd. But regardless, we will keep an eye on all the points applicable going into the Final Four. Speaking of points that are applicable, it's going to be between Cameron Sarton and Hunter Karsten. 1 point advantage for Hunter Karsten as things stand. Let's go ahead and double check the championship standings again. That is 1 point over Travis Dart right now. Once it gets past, if he gets past by, well, never mind. The caution is out. That's Travis Dart in the 26th. That's around in the back. An actual surprise, and to the outside with a quick avoidance is Daniel McConnell. He was committed to the outside, and you see Travis Dart dropping all the way down to 7th in the standings. I was about to say, once/if Cameron Sarton got past, man, English is weird. If Cameron Sarton went by Hunter Karsten for second, they would have been tied between Karsten and Dart, but that changes everything. We'll take a look here in a few moments as pit stops currently underway. The entire field currently going through into pit road. There's Philip Chavez. Daniel McConnell trying to keep up after a massive heart attack there at the last moment. He'll go into pit road himself. And eyes all the way on pit road. I think this would potentially be a good time to take a look and see what exactly happened here with the 26 of Travis Dart. Let's try this one more time. This is when he was already around. There we go. So off turn 2. What happened here? Into turns 3 and 4. He goes to the inside. And, oh no, just 2 into 1 does not go. Huge contact for both Telemac and Dart. I have to look at this one more time. I want to look at this from the same angle here, but I want to look at this in slow motion here while we have the opportunity. So Dart goes down to the inside. He has all the space available. Haberly doesn't know he's there. He is aware that Travis Dart is to the inside. You see that the right sides are below that seam, and I think just as Telemac goes down, I think Travis Dart moves up at the same time. Oh man, well, from that angle, woof. Let's take a look at Daniel McConnell, because the caution is out right about here. Oh man, yeah, he had nowhere to go. He just committed to the to the middle lane. Great avoidance, by the way, by the 72. Let's see if we can get one more replay here from the 26. And from this angle, yeah, just, I would say personally, it's just a racing deal. It happens. But man, that's unfortunate for both drivers. Heberly just more and more bad luck. Let's go ahead and go back live here. Field on the back straightaway, 1 lap to green. Well, this changes quite a bit, because Travis Start could / is at risk of elimination here. In fact, he's tied with William Duff, who's currently now 6th, both of which are 1 point from the cut line. 2 points from the cut line is Philip Chavez. 3 points from the cut line is Jonathan Burt. 4 points from the cut line is Tony Brent. Oh my goodness, and we still have a long ways to go here. So bring in your information here. Green flag flies once again. Brian McCann chose the inside lane. Karsten on the outside. Doesn't get too much of a good start. Not as well as he had hoped. And that's going to allow the 1 of Sarton to the inside. Side by side for second as sliding off the corner. That was the 22 of David McConnell. He held on to it. Side by side for second still between the 13 and the 1. Here comes Michael Thorpe Jr. sliding all the while through turn 4 on the exit. Still holds on to it. And just like that, we have now 100 laps to go. And 40 laps until the completion of the stage where 2 drivers are out. They are no longer going to get a chance at getting those extra stage points. It might have been 2 more if the 34 and 13 made contact there in turn 3. Both of them managed to hang on to it, give each other space. And back into turn 1 they go. Jonathan Burt lurking in 6th place. 5th place, rather. 6th place is the 17 of William Duff. Travis Start is still sitting on pit road. No word from race control, so potentially just deemed as a racing incident. Which, quick shout out to said race control. That is Steve Benjamin. Has been race control for this entire season so far, and we haven't really seen them intervene in anything. We haven't really seen the need for a race control intervention in terms of penalties or anything of the like, whether it be post-race or during a race. So that's a huge testament to drivers in this league of all skill levels, and they all manage to race each other clean. Sometimes racing incidents happen. That's a tongue twister and a half. And all the while, Steve gets the easiest job of just watching a race and just enjoying it for the most part. Definitely enjoying this race between Michael Thorpe Jr. and Hunter Karsten for 3rd. Both drivers, last time by the start-finish line, their lap time was 1/10 of a second separated. Advantage towards Michael Thorpe Jr. Last lap for Hunter Karsten was a 32.296, 32.195 for Karsten. And seeing Michael Thorpe be able to run up here in the top 5, run in the top 3 as well. Short run versus long run depends on the track, but still a remarkable performance nonetheless from the 34 machine. He might perform a little bit extra if he is able to get into the 3rd place position here. He's peeking to the inside. Not able to make a move, though. Off turn number 4. Down in turns 1 and 2 we go. But he is there. Michael Thorpe Jr. has consistently been about a tenth, if not half a tenth, quicker than Hunter Carson, but Carson's able to defend using the inside lane and just running his race, getting the tires right on that yellow line in the process, almost the grass, I think. This time around, it's 1/10 of a second difference. Again, advantage to Hunter Carson, who slides up a little bit in turns 1 and 2. Looking to the outside is Michael Thorpe, but not able to carry the momentum through the corner. Dare I say, this race is flying by. 2 cautions this race so far. And knock on wood, we have not met our the most amount of cautions this season, which is only 4 cautions for 12 laps. Not that the laps matter necessarily, but it has been 4 cautions nonetheless. Well, we are coming to complete lap 50. And as we do so, we're going to go ahead and go side by side. You won't miss any bit of the action here on the Racing Line Network as the battle for 3rd place continues. Brian McCann leads, Cameron Sargent follows in 2nd. Hunter Carson defends Michael Thorpe Jr. from 3rd.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
Welcome back to the virtual Milwaukee Mile here for season number 7 of the Full Send Racing Series here, presenting the Brent Racing 135 at the Milwaukee Mile, although I guess impromptu it's the Brent Racing 140 at the Milwaukee Mile. But hey, more laps for a historic racetrack is, I'd say, always a good thing. Currently on that track, it is the two drivers that are locked into the round of 8, be it points or otherwise. Otherwise being a win if you are Cameron Sarton. Both of them run 1-2 at the moment here on the racetrack. The coloring has also been changed for better readability and differentiation. So now, any drivers that do not have basically drivers with a black background are not the ineligible drivers for the championship. It's changed from white because of better color differentiation between that and yellow. Just so it's a bit more clear in the process. Something that's probably not going to be clear is the inside of Jonathan Bird, although this time by turns 3 and 4, he's quite lucky, and the caution is out once again. It's Cameron Sarton around off turn 4. Heavy front end damage. Luckily he's got a win, so he doesn't have to worry about it, but a shock crash as we were just about to take a look at that battle for about 4th place. Oh my goodness. I actually cannot believe what happened here. Through turn 4, hits the rumble strip, gets loose, nails the outside wall. Oh, Michael, what an avoidance. Thought about going to the inside and swerved hard into the outside lane, but I genuinely cannot believe that. Let's take a look here all the way from the backstretch. Everyone is in pit road. We'll get you the running order when we have the chance to, but he lost grip all the way middle turns 3 and 4. That's what happened here. We're going to roll this back here. So we'll put this in slow motion here. Right about here, when Cameron Sarton tries to dive down to the inside, there you can see the angle. It's a lot more than the car would like, no doubt. Right there is a pretty good representation. Right there, it's okay for the most part, but once he starts to catch it more and more, that sort of slip angle is not what the car is expecting, especially with the racetrack. You can see the angle there. You should be effectively a parallel to that inside white line and that yellow curb, but by that point it is pretty much over. Let's ride in car. And it's not that he was already losing control, of course. He was, wow, the 34. Let's get an onboard of that real quick. Man. Well, the yellow flag is still out, and the running order has drastically changed once again. Amberley Telemac is back on the lead lap. Got a wave around. And we still haven't even gotten to the stage yet. That is at lap 80 in about 15 laps. Brian McCann no doubt choosing the inside lane once again, but another shock exit in the form of Cameron Sarton. Again, we have not yet gone to the stage. Now, this does not hurt Cameron Sarton. He won last week at Homestead Miami Speedway, so he is locked into the round of 8. He is fine, but that does not make it any less shocking. But now this means there is effectively one more point up for grabs for some of these drivers, and some of them might want these extra points more than others. Boy, oh boy, it's going to get chaotic, no doubt. So again, drivers in green effectively locked into the round of 8. Drivers in yellow contending for the last 6 spots in the round of 8. And then the drivers who originally had a background of white changed background to black to differentiate from yellow. And of course, the daytime, they are not championship eligible. So let's see how things fare here into the final 15 laps of the stage. No caution at the end of the stage. Can Hunter Karsten get the maximum amount of points as the green flag flies once again? Karsten trying to fight back on the outside lane. Jonathan Burt on the back bumper of Michael Thorpe Jr. Off turn 2 they go. And just with the nose on the outside is Hunter Karsten. Look at Michael Thorpe Jr. sending it into the inside. I think he's about to run into the back of Brian McCann. He had carried so much speed there. He is desperate to get into second place. He is desperate to get as many points as possible, especially on these fresh tires. He wants those points. He wants to secure the spot. He wants to make it to the round of 8. His tires say otherwise, though, as he slides through turns 1 and 2. Leaves Jonathan Burt out to the outside for a third place position for that number 6. And on a natural race cycle, not including pit stops, I think even including pit stops, this is the highest we have seen the number 6 of Jonathan Burt here. Taking a look at the live points, this will not take the stage points into account just yet. We still have to complete this first stage. Jonathan Burt bobbles a little bit. He'll slide up to the track on the outside lane. Here comes William Duff to the inside. Does he send it on the inside of Michael Thorpe? No. This is a battle for third place, believe it or not. Hunter Karsten comfortably second place on track, comfortably third place in the championship. Everything else is separated by 3 points to the cut line. This is so ridiculously close, and we still have to go through again the stage. Travis Starr is tied at the cut line with Michael Thorpe Jr. for the 8th place position. Travis Starr is running on track after sitting and repairing his car for 20 minutes. He is running, but he's 31 laps down. No doubt he's just going to try and get any extra point possible here when it comes to the final portion of the race. Lap 70, so 11 laps to go. The 34, Michael Thorpe Jr. slides once again. Don't burn up the rear tires. We have 10 laps until the completion of the stage, and we then have, oh my goodness, another 60 laps, I believe, until the finish of the race on its own right. So 3 cautions this race. Still a lot to play for. William Duff running 4th, 5th place, Jonathan Burt, 6th place, Philip Chavez, 7th place, David McConnell, 8th place, Daniel McConnell, 9th place, Ryan Lynch, Larry Griffin sits 10th, Doug Pierce 11th, 12th place, last on the lead lap is Heberly Telemack. And he saw Travis start there for a split second. I thought he was leading, but no, he is back out on track, but 31 laps down. Cameron Sarton has pulled it behind the wall. We are halfway through this race. Battle for 9th place between Larry Griffin and Daniel McConnell. Daniel McConnell gets up to 9th place. In fact, he looks like he's had a run-in with the outside wall. That right front fender is really bent inwards. He might have had a literal run-in with one of the outside walls here. Look at Griffin sliding off turn number 4, trying to keep the car under control, turning the wheel way too much. Have to calm it down and get those tire temperatures back under control. Let's see if we can maybe get a award with Cameron Sarton here. He is still hovering around, so let's see if we can get him in here for a moment. Cameron Sarton, do you have a copy? Well, apparently we don't. That's actually quite embarrassing. Hold on a moment. I'll have to go ahead and send you back, and we'll see what we can do here in the meantime. Well, of course, the one time we try and get a mid-race interview, something breaks on technology. So that sounds about right. Yep, now that works. It couldn't be any more obvious, but yeah, it works. We'll go ahead and pull in camera starts at some point here in a few moments. Let's go ahead and take a look at this battle. Let's wait until the completion of the stage at least here. We have 5 laps to go. We have a lot of battles to keep an eye on here. 1 for 3rd place and 4 battles for 5th place. In fact, this is why we have this graphic. Over on the bottom right-hand side, you can keep up with whoever's running in 5th place. Actually, it's a battle for 4th place with William Duff. Well, there we go. Kind of rushing around with everything right now here for the moment, but 4 laps to go at the line until the finish of the stage, and this is where all of the points can completely swap over. I've said it even at the start of this race, while it's only 1 point for some positions, quote-unquote only, it matters a significant amount. 2 positions over somebody here at this at the completion of this stage can spell a secure spot or otherwise, especially with how things are faring here so far this race. Nearly into the outside wall, just scraping it, is Jonathan Burt. He still holds on to it. Well, we are now in a sprint to the stage completion. 2 laps to go. Michael Thorpe Jr. and Hunter Carson are separated by about 0.4 of a second, so no chance of a battle there unless, dare I say, unless something absolutely inconceivable happens for the 3rd time today. We'll keep an eye on this battle for 4th place. As we come to the final lap of this stage, dare I say, it's Brian McCann, and I'm calling that 1 lap ahead of time. Stage ends at the completion of this lap. It's been a fantastic race for Brian McCann. He doesn't really even need to win. He's already advanced on points, but, well, this is Brian McCann. He doesn't know what advancing on points means. He only knows one thing, and that has been winning. He'll round turn number 4. And unless, yes, he's fine. He's safe. Off turn 4. Hunter Carson, Michael Thorpe Jr., 3rd and 4th. 2nd and 3rd, rather. 4th is William Duff. 5th, Jonathan Burt. 6th, Philip Chavez. David McConnell is 6th. 7th. Ryan Lynch is 8th. Larry Griffin and Daniel McConnell round out the top 10. And now this is a matter of adding those points into our spreadsheet and updating accordingly as soon as possible. And we'll get that done pretty much right away. Especially since this has to take live points into account. So we're going to go ahead and mess with this for a little bit, but we'll keep an eye on this battle for 4th place between William Duff, Jonathan Burt, Philip Chavez, Dave McConnell. William Duff taking the defensive line on the middle of the front straightaway. Let's see, now to find both the McConnells, David and Daniel. Both getting a collective 5 points between them. I'm missing somebody, I feel like. That would be Larry Griffin on our spreadsheet. There he is. So now this thing that also pains me, I wonder, well, he has pulled it behind the wall, so effectively that could secure 23 points for Cameron Sarton. Go ahead and add that as of right now to take everything into account. And now the fun part where we have to update this in real time. Well, it's still nose to tail for 4th, 5th, and 6th right now between the 3 playoff competitors. And speaking of said 3 playoff competitors, go ahead and update all of the standings as things are right now. And no way. There's no, wait, no, yeah, okay, that's why. Alright, live points on your screen as of right now. And this should, hypothetically, take into account the live points in the process where drivers are currently running. There we go. Now it does. Alright, that makes way more sense. They did not change for a moment, and I just had to refresh. So here's where things are right now. Brian McCann first, Cameron Sarton second. They're fine. That's okay. They're doing great. Hunter Karsten, 10 points ahead of William Duff, who currently sits 4th, which separates, I mean, look at this. 4th, 5th, 6th, and 3rd are all basically tied. This is nearly a 4-way tie for one position. On the bright side, as things stand, they are safe. Tony Brent is above the cut line by 3 points. Travis Starr is only going to be able to gain 1 more point on Cameron Sarton. Correction. Travis Starr bypassing Cameron Sarton, who is out of the race. So that would put Travis Starr from 23 points to 24 points, which is a 2-point difference. Ryan Lynch is tied. He sits 8th. 3 points between 3 drivers, 2 of which are tied, 1 of which is not even here. You can't script any of this whatsoever. It is utterly shocking. Let's go ahead and drag in Cameron Sarton. This is going to be attempt number 2 this time. Let's see if we have Cameron Sarton this time.
Got me?
Hey, there we go. Well, a rare mid-race interview for me, and I guess for you in the sense of a surprise exit. What happened there off turn number 4? It seems like the tires have just started to let go.
Yeah, I hit the yellow curb there, and force feedback went out, and then my wheel went way right, and snapped my little wrist pretty good. So,
Oh.
little technical difficulty that I'm gonna blame it on, but we're all right. We advance, so everything's fine, and get the night off. For the rest of the night off.
Yeah, you are pretty lucky. Are your wrists okay? Number 1.
We're all right.
Oh,
Just
that's good.
Just a little stinner.
Yeah, sometimes that happens, especially to the poor car in the outside wall. Well, we're going to go ahead and let you go back to doing your thing, but luckily for your performance last week at Homestead, like you said, you effectively have the night off, so you can breathe a wonderful sigh of relief.
Yeah, so we'll look at bright side, and we'll move on next week.
I'll go ahead and let you go, and we'll see you next week.
All right, see you.
That is the voice of Cameron Sarton, who is 13th and shockingly out, but luckily safe. And has just now gotten passed by Travis Start. 32 laps down now is the 26 car, as he gets passed by Brian McCann, who has very silently checked out between himself and Hunter Carson, who cannot shake the 34 of Michael Thorpe Jr. Let's see, it is now a 2-point difference between Travis Starr and Ryan Lynch. Oh my goodness. So the only way Ryan Lynch can get into the top 8 right now is if there is just a sizable crash with a sizable amount of cars. And, oh, look, I think we've come across a sizable amount of cars, and I'm kind of worried for a lot of people here. Not only these 3 effectively being Duff, Chavez, and Burt, but also worried for Tony Brent. He's 2 points out. He's not here. He got last place points, which is effectively 15th place points, as a generous buy in the sense of showing up to every single race. So a lot can still happen, and we might leave it at that. And Zachary Lovelace as well, odd man out, retired early last week at Homestead, and just has not shown up for this week, unfortunately. Amberley Telemac is also pretty much effectively out, I think, unless a shock horror scenario where the entire field has a grenaded engine, and Amberley's engine is the one that survives. Then again, we did see a 4-wide finish at Talladega, so a lot can happen. Much like Philip Chavez going up to the 4th place position on track, that puts him 2 points above William Duff now. Of course, the numbers in parentheses are where the drivers are running in real time on the racetrack. So that way, the viewers, you at home, don't have to look back and forth between the timing tower and the championship graphic here. But you still have just about a bit over 40 laps to go. And there's still a lot to play for. Especially with this group right here, where a lot can happen. David McConnell sitting here in 4th place, looking to sneak out of the top 5 on his own accord. And it looks like Daniel McConnell is going to be the first one to blink to go the pit road, although he might be likely repairing damage. It might have been that number 72 who we saw earlier. No, it was 22, I believe, that we saw earlier with the fender damage. That might have been the 72. He pulls it behind the virtual garage, so that at this point, with 43-ish, 42 laps to go, that is another point in Travis Start's favor. Oh my goodness. So the current situation right now, Daniel McConnell just retired. Travis Start is 29 laps away from getting that spot, which would give another point to Travis Start, which would put him 1 point behind Tony Brent, who is not here. If there is one more DNF, Travis Start could get in. If there's one more DNF. So Tony Brent, all he has to hope for is that just no one else DNFs if he is watching. I can only imagine the nerves on the from the 22. Sorry, from the 28 camp. I mean, I can also imagine nerves from the 22 of David McConnell. He's sitting just at the edge of the top 5 here. It is possible he could sneak a top 5 in if he does get by William Duff, but he has to get through the rest of the race in the process. Meanwhile, I mentioned earlier that it seemed like Hunter Carson was not able to shake off Michael Thorpe Jr. Well, that gap has grown very silently from 4/10 to 6, almost 7/10 throughout this the last few laps, and then it's a 6.1 second gap between Thorpe and Chavez. Well, I should say between Michael Thorpe and 4th through 7th, more accurately, because all 4 of these drivers are fighting for a spot here. Same with Larry Griffin and Doug Pierce. Both these drivers are still fighting for points. And in fact, with where they run now, let me add Daniel McConnell to our finishing results list as well. So if I have everything pointed out correctly, as things stand right now, between Larry Griffin and Doug Pierce, they are tied for 12th place in the standings at 323 points. So it may not be for a championship, but it is still a points battle nonetheless between these two drivers. We get to do this all over again in the next couple weeks, figuring out where everybody is at. 38 laps to go, coming to 39 laps to go, and we'll go ahead and take this opportunity to squeeze in one more break. And while we do so, we'll keep an eye on this battle for the 4th place position. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back here on the Racing Line Network as William Duff is quite tail happy off turn number 4. The battle for 5th may be on soon as Philip Chavez checks out.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
Welcome back to the Season 7 of the Full Send Racing Series here for the Brent Racing 135/140 at the Milwaukee Mile here. It is not over yet. Just about 30 laps to go, and double checking the championship standings, which have not been updated on the full graphic. How things look, well, if I were some drivers, I'd be a little bit concerned. Now, who those drivers would be, well, let's go ahead and take a look. First, let's run through the field very quickly while we still have the chance to do so. First place is Brian McCann, a dominant race as always from the number 8 machine, and setting the track alight with his lap times. In fact, the best lap of the race entirely was set by Brian McCann, 31.671 for that number 8 machine. Currently sitting in the second place position is Hunter Karsten here in the number 13, and a great race for him. It's been a while since we've seen him run. We've seen flashes of Hunter Karsten running consistently in the top 5, but I think ever since the clash at 5 Flags, he's been running in the top 10, but he kind of has the coming and going kind of moments, and then he starts to settle out. But for this race, he has been consistently in second place. Not to say that's a bad thing, but a very impressive thing, which is quite the opposite, of course, than the bad thing. In other news, the sky is blue. Staying in third place. Good job for Hunter Karsten, regardless as things stand. Michael Thorpe Jr. sits in the third place position. Great race for him as well. Probably burned the tires off a little bit too much a couple times, but he still sits in third place in a very prime position here to score some championship points. Another driver scoring prime championship points is Philip Chavez here in fourth. He started in 8th. And as a result of a lot of things happening almost all at once throughout this entire race, Philip Chavez is in line for at least a guaranteed top 5 finish. Same goes for the 17 of William Duff. He sits in 5th right now, started 10th. Another driver that divided their start number by 2 apparently, and suddenly they both just appeared in the top 10. Great performance by both these drivers so far. Same goes for Jonathan Burt, that number 6 car, running in 6th after starting in, if you said 7th, you were wrong. It was actually 6th. Great job by Jonathan Burt. And that is the epitome of consistency right there for Jonathan Burt. David McConnell sits in 7th after qualifying in 9th. Pretty great job so far for the 22 machine. Ryan Lynch in the number 3 has slowly built his way up through the field. He's been on the back end of in terms of pace, but he qualified 14th, and he currently sits in 8th. So I would say a pretty good day for that number 13. Same goes for Larry Griffin in 9th and Doug Pearson 10th, where these two just can't seem to leave these two each other alone for whatever reason. They both started 12th and 11th respectively, and yes, they started 12th and 11th. That is Larry Griffin and Doug Pierce respectively. The 88 of Happy Telemac could be having significantly better days. The excitement that he had when he finished in second and bested Doug Pierce by 2 points at Talladega was ridiculously infectious, and I absolutely loved it. It's a shame that, double checking the points, that he is, pretty much all in, effectively pretty much done, but still a good season by the 88 nonetheless, and I hope that Happy does finish out the rest of the season, despite being 11th here in the standings as things come to an end today. Daniel McConnell, not literally unable to be pictured, is sitting behind the virtual wall, 9 laps away from being lapped by this man of Travis Starr, who currently sits 13th, going to be soon moving up to 12th, and this will put him and Tony Brent at a 1-point difference. In fact, this does put Travis Starr and Tony Brent at a 1-point separation. They can tie. It is possible. There's 21 laps left, and a lot more to look ahead for. Cameron Sarton as well, another shock exit who we had an interview with earlier on in this race, just before our last break. Basically saying that got onto the curb, force feedback just stopped existing, and then suddenly he's in the outside wall. But luckily with a win last week at Homestead, he is safe going into the round of 8. And how the championship standings work, well, glad you asked. We'll go ahead and showcase that for you while we still have the opportunity to do so. Here is what the schedule looks like. Cameron Sarton, again, won last week at Homestead. 2 rounds. 2 races per round, making it for 3 rounds in total. So very rapid fire rounds. You see on the graphic it says 135 laps. Probably a race director probably added an extra 5 just for fun, but regardless, still the race is occurring nonetheless. Even if we get an extra 5 laps, I would say it makes it more fun. Heading into the next 2 weeks, the round of 8 will host a mini West Coast swing in form of my most favorite track to ever exist, with absolutely no bias whatsoever. Home track of Phoenix Raceway. Love that track. Been there a few times. Absolutely fantastic. Love it. No notes. Second track is Auto Club Speedway, which in real life, unfortunately, does not exist anymore. And is in currently building limbo, I guess. Literally nobody knows. I don't think even Auto Club themselves know, because the track has just been sitting there. I think they've been demolishing it, but haven't heard anything since. They're supposed to be building a short track apparently for the next gen cars. Haven't heard anything about that, and it's a bit concerning. And I hope that track does survive. Because that track, I didn't get a chance to go when it was open, aside from stepping onto the aside from being outside, I believe turn 3 at one point, which was a lot of fun. Drivers making the way through turn 3, good segue, is Phil Chavez and William Duff. Is. English is a bit confusing sometimes, but regardless, the battle for 4th place is starting to stagnate, but William Duff flying through the middle portion of the racetrack, trying to carry momentum. Saw the backfire out of the car since he was that much out of the throttle, and it actually worked. He did close up a little bit. Now it's 0.2 of a second separating these two drivers. They're closing in on 15 laps to go here at the start-finish line. Not this time by for these drivers, but the next time around once they cross the line once again. And how the championship looks, I'll go ahead and showcase that for you here once Brian McCann crosses the start-finish line. 15 laps to go officially here at the Milwaukee Mile. Let's take a look at the live championship standings, as we also take a look at Travis Dart. This is going to be the key thing here, heading through these next couple laps. Of course, Brian McCann, Brian McCann, Cameron Sarton locked in, regardless of whether or not Brian McCann wins, he is locked in on points. Hunter Carson firmly locked in. Then we have Philip Chavez, who is sitting in 4th place on the racetrack, 4th place in the standings. Same goes for William Duff. He's tied with Michael Thorpe Jr. right now with 1,071 points each. Can't read thousands today, apparently. Jonathan Burt with 1,069 points. There we go. He sits 7th on track, 7th in the standings. Tony Brent, unable to make it for this race, sits with 15th place points, 22 points to the number 28 car. As a bit of a bye/thank you for showing up to every single race this season. Tony Brent should be back next week. Travis Dart, however, is about to be 1 point closer. You may have just seen it switch there. It's just getting more and more terrifying. So now, if Tony Brent is watching, what he absolutely does not need in these final 13 laps. Actually, you know what? I can't say anything now because mathematically, and quite literally, Shadow Start cannot gain any more positions. However, there is one other driver that could gain positions if the impossible were to happen. That is Ryan Lynch. 3 cars would have to basically wreck or DNF for Ryan Lynch to not only get past Travis Dart in the championship standings, but also get past Tony Brent. Actually, he would need 4 points to get past. He would need 3 points to tie. We'll just leave the points graphic up for now, I think, and keep an eye on this battle between Philip Chavez and William Duff for 4th place. 11 laps to go for these 2 competitors here at the start-finish line. Another battle between David McConnell and Jonathan Burt for 6th place here, looming in front of them. Or if you're... Actually, who is that in front of them? If you're the 88 of Headboat 10 Mike, it's looming behind you and approaching at a very rapid rate of speed. Let's go ahead and take a look here at... let's go ahead and ride on board with Ryan Lynch for a couple laps here. Correction, Jonathan Burt. He's a bit too far back. There we go. Roughly a 60 mile per hour speed difference between the top speed and low speeds, about 140 miles an hour up to the braking zone of turn 3 or turn 1, all the way down to about 80 miles per hour through the corner. In the background there is Brian McCann, keeping a very close eye on the time difference between William Duff and Philip Chavez. 0.5 of a second separate those 2 drivers. Let's go ahead and give you the intervals between each and every driver. Hunter Carson, 12.7 seconds between himself and Brian McCann. I believe this would be the low. Brian McCann's on the apron, actually. Well, he's definitely trying to get going, that's for sure. I could be wrong, but I believe this would be the biggest finishing margin this season of the 12.6 seconds. I would have to double check, but this would be the, I believe, biggest finishing margin here on the ovals as Brian McCann makes his way past the lap traffic. And there's William Duff chasing down Philip Chavez to the best of his abilities. Here's David McConnell trying to get a 6th place finish. And side by side for 7th place is Jonathan Burt and Ryan Lynch. Burt to the inside. Correction. That is separately Telemac. I was looking at the wrong intervals there. So, not side by side for position, but they might as well be with the tire difference that they have. Which, oh, by the way, no one has pit for the last, let me double check, 73 laps. Basically since the last caution there. And there is Ryan Lynch. Can't really do much at the moment except hope for the best. At the moment, looks like he will be eliminated from championship contention, despite running in the top 10 as well. William Duff showcasing, pulling no punches throughout this event, that is for sure. A great teammate for Ryan Lynch to have as well, with a on-the-throttle teammate in the form of William Duff. Even if he doesn't get 4th, it's still a fantastic finish regardless for the team as a whole. 4th and 8th at the moment. Three laps to go at the start-finish line. Laps continue to wind down. We're well past the point of having potential caution-free races. And with 2 laps to go, there's still the very ever-looming possibility of a last-second caution. We'll hold our breath this lap. 2 laps to go for Brian McCann with a 14.3 second gap, besting Hunter Carson's lap time by about a second. I wouldn't be surprised if Hunter Carson has just decided to pull the pace back a little bit, make the tires last to the end. Ryan Lynch, Jonathan Burt side by side for a few moments. Jonathan Burt up way on the outside. Burt falls to 8th. And here we go, the very tense moment. White flag is being waved, waiting for anything to happen. This race is now official. White flag for the 8 of Brian McCann. Once again, pulling no punches, pulling out all the stops, running on the apron in the process. The 8 of Brian McCann didn't really need to have a win to secure his spot into the round of 8, but like I said earlier, Brian McCann does not know the definition of holding back. It is another win on the season for the 8 of Brian McCann at the Milwaukee Mile. And now keeping an eye on this battle behind, potentially for 4th place, Philip Chavez sits 4th. William Duff is going to try anything that he can, but still not able to get 4th place, but still able to pull off a top 5 finish for both Philip Chavez and William Duff. Hunter Carson, Michael Thorpe Jr., 2nd and 3rd, and early celebrations for Brian McCann. He's up on the outside wall here in turns 3 and 4. They run out of fuel. It was 77 laps by the end, so it might have been a possibility. No burnouts this week, unfortunately, but still a wonderful performance nonetheless. So let's go ahead and get the results up on your screen and see where everyone has finished here at the Milwaukee Mile. Brian McCann, of course, finishes in 1st place with a winning margin of 17.172 seconds. Again, I would have to double check, especially the road course races, but I believe that is, well, I'll say this is no doubt the largest finishing margin that we had on an oval. That is for sure. Hunter Carson finishing in 2nd. Michael Thorpe Jr. finishing in 3rd place. Fantastic day for Guardian Autosport, finishing in both 2nd and 3rd place. Wonderful job by those 2 drivers to pull off a... Oh, there we go. To pull off a top 3 finish on the day. William Duff, well, I should go with this. There we go. Philip Chavez finishes in 4th place. William Duff finishes in 5th. Dave McConnell pulls out a 6th place finish. 7th place for Ryan Lynch. Jonathan Burt finishes in 8th. Larry Griffin 9th. Rounding out the top 10 is Doug Pierce. Then the rounding out portion of the field, Heberly Telemack finishes in 11th. 12th place, Travis Start. 13th place, Daniel McConnell. 14th place, Cameron Sarton. And quite literally not pictured is Tony Brent with a 15th place finish due to, again, a little bit of a bye into the next round. So we'll go ahead and tally up the championship points in the meantime, just in case anything is incorrect by 1 or 2 points, which has happened in the past, but managed to catch that just before anything were to happen. So we'll wait for the latest race results to come in, which we already have. That was fast. Perfect. Well, we'll go ahead and get an interview in with your top 3 finishers this week. go ahead and start off with the third place finisher, that being in the form of the 34 of Michael Thorpe Jr. Fantastic finish for you here for this week. You did slide a couple times, but by the end of the race, luckily, it looks like the tire temperatures managed to get under control for you. And well, here you are with a third place finish and securing yourself into, I believe, the round at, well, definitely firmly securing yourself by provisionally 6 points into the round of 8.
By sheer amount of luck. But it is what it is. I'll take third. I say McCann pretty much has the championship secured here, so we got to crown him champion. But other than that, it's a good run. We got a GGA 1, 2, and 3, so I really can't be complaining about too much.
Of course, a wonderful finish for the Guardian Autosport team as well as a whole. Like you said, 2 and 3. So going into next week with our mini West Coast swing that we have going on for Phoenix and then Auto Club, what are your thoughts as we head into not only 2 different tracks, but I believe, let me double check here, 2 different conditions entirely. A small, short question mark, I believe, oval in the form of Phoenix at night for a night race, and then the hot California sun at the Auto Club Speedway.
Well, I usually kind of show my strengths up on night tracks, night races, and especially when they come to short tracks. So I think I'll hopefully be a contender there, and we'll see. But other than that, I think that's going to be a good race. And as for Auto Club, just going to have to do some work and see what I can do about that.
Before we go ahead and let you go celebrate your third place finish, go ahead and shout who gets it done for you for that number 34 machine.
Yeah, thank you, Team Watson, and thank my team, GGA. Thanks my pops for always tuning in. And thanks iRacing. And thank you for actually coming and doing these broadcasts all the time.
Well, thanks to you as well for being one of the many drivers that put on a wonderful league here, as well as a pretty good show for not only everyone watching, but also myself, because I, at the end of the day, also just love seeing things like this. That is the third place finisher of Michael Thorpe Jr. Fantastic finish for him once again, finishing in the third place position. Moving on upwards to second place and his teammate in the form of the 13 of Hunter Karsten, where, Hunter, your race was, I would say, I think the performance I can sort of kind of partially make this an equivalent to is your Five Flags performance, where you were just there in the top 3 for relatively the entire race, and everything just looked to work in your favor.
Yeah, I'd say like the experience I've had at this track in other vehicles helped me be in the fight all race long. Um, and helps from teammates and whatnot has also helped out a ton just trying to figure out how to get the car to turn and everything.
Well, luckily for the point standings as things are, I mean, you were pretty firmly secured pretty much even just with the stage points alone, but provisionally 17-point gap between yourself and the cut line, so ridiculously comfortable going into the round of 8, luckily for you. So your thoughts as we head into Phoenix and then Auto Club in the in the form of the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, those are definitely two vastly different tracks. I have a ton of laps at Phoenix, so hopefully we can have the same type of performance like we did here. And then Auto Club is a toss up for me, just trying to figure out how to keep the tires on it, and hopefully we can advance.
Hopefully that will be the case. A great day, of course, for the Guardian Autosport team. So before we go ahead and let you go ahead and shout who gets it done for you for that number 13.
Yeah, I'd like to thank 24 Social, 24 Speed, huge partners of my sim racing career, along with 213 Simware and HC Sim Shots, and Golden Guardian Sport for letting me be a part of the team, and hopefully we can get something done.
Hopefully we will see you in the round of 4, but for now, congratulations on the second place finish here this afternoon.
Thank you.
That is second place finisher Hunter Karsten, And moving on to, once again, I think I've literally lost track at this point. I think it's like 9 at this point. But another win on the season for Brian McCann, who literally did not need to win and said, well, too bad, watch this. And then proceeded to just win here by, I think, the largest oval finishing margin this season specifically. But a fantastic job nonetheless for Brian McCann. And Brian, well, I mean, do you have any words? I'm lost of questions at this point, I think.
I'm just glad to be able to run this track. A lot of the leagues run in, they don't run this track, so it's one of my favorite tracks in the service. Just anything flat track, I really enjoy, and it was a great race. Tire wear, these flat tracks, you start heating up the tires and it just builds and builds and builds, so you really got to maintain that tire wear. And other than that, glad everybody showed up tonight. Pretty good run.
Of course, a wonderfully fantastic run as well in your favor going into the next 2 rounds, that being next 2 races, there we go, that being Phoenix and Auto Club. Your thoughts as we head to 2 drastically different tracks, because we're running at Phoenix in the nighttime and then Auto Club in the California sun in the daytime.
Phoenix, I'm not good at. It's one of my weaker tracks. I don't know why. I've just never really figured it out. The other ones, Auto Club, like Texas and Richmond, I'm looking forward to. But yeah, Phoenix, that's going to be a weak one for me.
We'll see how things fare. Before I go ahead and let you go celebrate a win on this season once again, go ahead and shout out who gets it done for you for that number 8.
Yeah, my family, you for doing the broadcast, everybody helps this league out and makes it happen. Jones paints and designs on the paint scheme on the car, and drivers for showing up and always having a good race. Thank you.
And thanks to you, we will, well, surely talk to you again next week. That is the number 8 of Brian McCann, and we have just barely, double-checking everything to make sure, just barely gotten everything set up for the championship standings. I feel like I'm missing something entirely important here, but I'm sure it will be fine with absolutely 0 repercussions whatsoever. So that's the roster. That would probably do part of that. Well, let's get the proper things here as well. We're not going to go just yet. We will give you the championship standings once we figure out where the files are, because apparently they like to disappear all of a sudden, which is utterly fantastic. The fun little mini behind the scenes things that you will probably never see for most broadcasts, but I'm sure it's fine just this one time, right? So, point standings, just got that updated. Let's go ahead and refresh, and then we'll go ahead and throw the point standings in as well in the process. So go ahead and take that out, and then we do this, and perfect. So as of the results of this race, here are your championship standings with the round of 8 cutoff. Brian McCann, Cameron Sarton both won. They have automatically and very easily locked themselves into the round of 8. Hunter Karsten, 17 points above the cut line, wonderfully comfortable. Same goes for Philip Chavez. William Duff and Michael Thorpe Jr. tied for effectively 5th place in the standings. Jonathan Burt, 3 points above the cut line. And Tony Brent, despite not being able to make it, moves into the round of 8 by 1 point over Travis Dart, who had a shock crash effectively and still toughed it out, repaired his car, did all that he could, and he cannot be faulted for doing all that he could. He was 1 point shy of the cut line. Ryan Lynch had a relatively quiet day and was very close to sneaking past Travis Dart in the points as well, 2 points shy of the cut line. Hadley Telemac, what a shame for the 88 machine to be out, especially after, again, besting Doug Pierce by 2 points. So close, yet so far, but still I believe a fight will still be on for the believe, the 9th place position between these 4. I could be wrong. Zachary Lovelace not showing up for this race. And then Larry Griffin and Doug Pierce fighting it out for the, 13th place in the championship standings. They are tied at 323 points each. So keep an eye on those two heading into the final weeks of this season. Well, that almost does it here for the Racing Line Network. Next week, we head to the nighttime desert, and I'm only slightly biased towards this, but we head to a wonderfully fun racetrack regardless in form of the Phoenix Raceway under the lights as well for 150 laps to kick off the round of 8 in the desert. And that will do it here for the Racing Line Network. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Shoutouts to the race control being Steve Benjamin for this race, league owner Travis Start, the league participants of quite literally everybody who has shown up in these races, even if it was just a one-off. Thanks to, of course, iRacing for having the sim where you have seen this race today, and huge thanks to the ATVO team for providing the software for all the graphics that give us all the opportunity to give you pretty much anything and everything here on screen, as well as the championship formats as well in the process that was recently added just before the playoffs this season. Convenient timing, and it's been working out pretty well. So shout out to the ATVO team as well, and everyone behind the scenes at pretty much anywhere and everywhere. And thanks to you for tuning in as well. We will see you next week on November 5th under the lights at the Phoenix Raceway.